It's Thursday, December 31st, New Year's Eve, and you got Goose, and you're entering into the core, brought to you by a year in review. I mean, I don't know what else to say here, but I'm really excited to be chatting with Daniel Keller, the Chief Strategy Officer of the Zel project, and we're going to talk about everything that happened throughout this year and what's coming up in 2021. So let's get started. Daniel, welcome back to the core. It's so good to see you. How's everything been going?
Goose, my man, it's been so long. It feels like a lifetime since we've been able to sit and powwow, but it's been going great. And we're sitting here looking at the dawn of 2021, and I'm excited. I mean, we've had a hell of a year, and I look forward to chatting about what we've done this last year and what we're looking to do next year as well.
Awesome. Well, I follow the project very closely, as you know, and I always am really astonished at the amount of work, the sheer volume of commits on GitHub and all the things that have been done. So there's a lot to cover. Where do we even begin?
Well, I think we look at kind of what our motivation for last year was, and we have a lot of irons in the fire, so to speak, but one of the big concentrations was to really kind of differentiate ourselves from other blockchain projects and become more of a tech-centric project. And I think we're starting to lay the fundamental groundwork for that. It looks good. And I think that through this year, as we developed and rolled out Flux and we started to create these different use cases for it, and we created new partnerships, I think that that's starting to materialize. And now I think toward the end of the year, as we're starting to wrap up some of the accomplishments from 2020 and looking into 2021, I think that the term that I'm going to use is aggressive. I think in 2021 we become very aggressive with how we develop the project, how we market the project, how we begin to roll out our governance model. And, we can talk about all those things. But, yeah, I think I'm really, really happy and pleased with where we're at. Bitcoin is kind of sucking all the air out of the room right now. So, price-wise, everybody's a little down, but they love the development. But I think what's going to happen is, as that price of BTC starts to go sideways, I think you'll see people that are in that space will start to look at other projects. And I think differentiating ourselves from other, for lack of a better term, shitcoins, and creating this new infrastructure, that was paramount in 2020. That was the goal. And I think we hit that in spades. So I think 2021 is to get it in front of people so that they can see it's different.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because there's a lot of groundwork that had to be laid in the Flux OS and the Zel node structure and how that all functions. So what's the story with Flux? I mean, can you give us like the 1 minute elevator pitch of what's Flux and what does it seek to do?
The 1 minute elevator pitch of Flux is, if you wanted an autonomous organization to run Airbnb, it exists today. Goose, you and I kidded around about this, and I kind of coined a phrase. I said, when the internet was created, they said, what can we use it for? When Flux was created, what can it be used for? It can be used for everything. If you can Dockerize it, you can put it on Flux, right? That's what she said. Good impression of me too. I like that. But the ultimate goal was to get it to a point where we could start to use real business cases. And our partnership with KDA, I think that started to highlight it. And it also showed that running a Zel node, or being a decentralized systems administrator, was going to be more rewarding than just say, let's mining Zel. You can pick and choose the assets that you participate with. And if you run a BAMF or a super, and you can stand up a KDA node, and you can be rewarded with Zel and KDA, and we continue to look at these partnerships where Flux becomes Another good analogy, Goose, is in the gold rush. The guys that were mining the gold didn't necessarily get rich, but the guys that were providing and selling the pickaxes and the pans and the denim for these guys to go out and mine the gold, they were the ones that really succeeded. And that's kind of the mindset we have. We have this really unique mindset where we want to be the provider of the technology, the next iteration. Web 3.0, whatever terminology you have, soup du jour, it is moving beyond crypto and into the technology sector to really start to permeate that area, and that's where Flux is, it is powerful.
Yeah. I mean, it's giving people access to the raw computational power of the Zel network. So all of these servers that are running the nodes and offering resources, basically. So applications take compute power, they take hard drive space, they take RAM. It needs all of that to run on the internet. I don't think most people really even make that connection. We're so used to using stuff in a cloud that we just take it for granted, right? I mean, there's even movies out there where people joke about things being up in the cloud. I don't know where that is, but
yeah,
it's up there.
The cloud is a place, but we know that. It's
yeah.
And I think that's a great point. And I think that as people start to educate themselves with their privacy and their data, not only from the personal level, but from the professional level, there's going to be opportunities where we can really cultivate the power that Flux has to offer.
Nice. Yeah, I think for sure. And like you mentioned, KDA, the KDA project is one of those where not only were they one of the first to take advantage of that compute power, now I think that even they are surprised that we are providing more than double the amount of nodes that they had anticipated that we would provide in the beginning, right?
Yeah, we had initially we wanted about 100 nodes in about a month.
Oh, wow.
And we got 100 nodes in 3 days.
That's a lot more than that now.
We got over 400 nodes running it now. So I'd say it was a smashing success, and the participation in their network is fantastic, and it's brought new those decentralized systems admins to Zel. I mean, even last night I was watching guys stand up nodes for the very first time, and it was pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm. I like this new name that you got for these. We were calling them NodeOps. And but
there's so much more. There's so much more. They are decentralized systems administrators. They are they're providing the infrastructure and the backbone. Yes, they are being rewarded with an utility-based asset. But we talk about Bitcoin and the fact that it has created this this boom for financial freedom. But take it a step further and step outside of the financial sector and think about the technology-based sector. That bell curve, that adoption bell curve. We are very early on into understanding what tokenization of assets, what tokenization of physical assets is, and Zel is and the team and Flux, and what we're doing is we're thinking a year or 2 years down the road, as opposed to just keeping up with the Joneses, which is nice because we got a little bit of a head start. We're an older project in the space, which has been great for us. And we didn't really fall into that perception of the FOMO hype of pump. We knew we were technology based from the beginning, and that's been a real benefit to us because we didn't have to shill our coin and pump prices and things like that. We said, no, we create a revenue generation model, and we're actually going to make money, and we're going to pay for the things that we're doing. And with our volunteers, our community, Goose, and I can't even imagine once they start to get access, an unbridled access to Flux, what that's going to do. It's going to be amazing. It really is. That governance model is coming.
Well, a great man once said that if you want to build a house, you need to build it on solid ground. And this is one of those kind of scenarios that the infrastructure needs to be built first. And to see people step up the way they have, these decentralized system administrators who are providing the computational power. And they have done it in so many creative ways. I'm one of them, I know, but I'm in the channels following everybody else. There are people running nodes from their home. There are people running nodes in VPS cloud service providers. There are people running them in data centers. There are people who are making businesses themselves out of running nodes for other people now. This is created, I mean, I know we only have, really a handful. It's like around 800 nodes right now, but that's not even the tip of the iceberg. Can you imagine what it would be, in a couple years? Like you're saying, you're going here for the long game. That's going to be a much higher number.
It's going to be astronomical. And then you start talking about halvings of the nodes as well. So, I mean, we thought about scaling very early on. We didn't want to be trapped in the same predicament that Ethereum was, and the fact that they couldn't scale. They had almost put themselves in a corner, and I still don't believe Ethereum 2.0 is the end all be all. Sorry, Vitalik. But I believe there are other people. I think there are other people out there that are going to be doing it and doing it much better and much more effective. And once these projects, and you're just now, Goose, you're just starting to see this in some of the relationships that we're creating with, KDA and Veriblock and some other projects that I can't announce yet. But the tribalistic nature of cryptocurrency, of blockchain, is starting to go by the wayside. And why is it going by the wayside? Because real tech is being developed. And the vaporware that you saw for several years, or the proof of concept that was out there, it's like,
AKA empty promises.
Yes.
Yeah, empty promises. All these ICOs that came up in 2017 and 2018 that had these gigantic plans for what they were going to do, and not even a single line of code is written. And you go, what in the world is this? Zel, on the other hand, if you look at the sheer number of commits on GitHub, you see nothing but constant development. I mean, we've got just today a new release of Flux. 1.6 is out now.
Yep. There'll be a lot of happy people about 1.6. Fixes a couple issues that we had. It really, honestly, it continues to. We put ourselves in this space where we can release these updates rapidly, because we have those decentralized systems administrators who are highly involved. It isn't just stand it up and forget about it, walk away. What the original masternode concept was.
Boy,
these guys
they made a bunch of lazy miners, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's face it. It's like everything else in this space. It had the fundamental underpinnings of it is sound. It decentralized your computational power, right? Masternodes. The way it was rolled out, and 800%, return on investment because you stake this and that ended up going by the wayside. You look at DeFi. I would say, and I've said it out loud before, I think 90% or more of DeFi is bullshit. It's a scam. And I wouldn't call out a particular project or anything like that, because that's not how I roll. But the underpinnings of what DeFi is, decentralized finance, is huge for this space. It is creating opportunities. And once these projects clean themselves up and you stop seeing the exit scams and things like that, you're going to see, just like we did with, Flux, a new product emerge that's gonna be beneficial to everyone.
Yeah, and the beauty of keeping it decentralized is the fact that you have multiple eyes on the code. You have a system of checks and balances that's based on having those really random people. It could be anybody who has the skill set to understand what's going on, who can evaluate that code. I mean, and actually Zel is kind of in the process of having evaluations done of its code base, right? Can you maybe talk a little bit about that? Because that's something that we started this year.
Well, one of the things that we wanted to do this year was we wanted to get privacy, security, and compliance. Those are big things. So we wanted to make sure that we essentially looked at these particular items and create logical partnerships around those areas. Because of the decentralized nature of Zel and ultimately Flux, we started to partner with CVE, which is a reporting structure. All the major players in the space have some level of integration to CVEs for reporting and structure. We started our bug bounty program, which has been absolutely successful. We've had multiple bugs that have been picked up and reported, and people are happy to mine with their mind and get some Zel for finding a bug. Sometimes they don't even take it. Sometimes they say put it in the foundation, which is amazing. These guys are doing it. These guys are doing it for the excitement and to make the project better. I mean, and you go back to Bitcoin and post Satoshi, the guys that stepped up and started coding, and they did it for the fundamental love of privacy. Well, not privacy, but fundamental love of decentralization. So
autonomy.
That's the word I was looking for.
I mean, because really, maybe it's not so much about be your own bank as it is be in charge of your own destiny, be in charge of your own financial future.
Yes. Yes. And I think it starts with your financial future. And we very early on said, well, there's going to be a lot of people doing finance. Let's work on the next iteration. Let's work on the technology sector. How do we scale appropriately? How do we get beyond, the challenges that Ethereum had? And I'm not saying we're Ethereum, because we're not even close to Ethereum. We're a completely different animal.
Or privacy coin versus a smart contract coin, right? So
yeah. But
totally different animal.
But how do we scale appropriately? Scaling was still the issue, and that's what we learned from. We looked at it. We said, how do we get beyond that? And we can scale infinitely with the structure that we have set up now, and with these individuals who will eventually have input into the governance model, which governance model 1.0 was just recently leaked. Thanks, Brent.
Oh, Brent did that?
Yeah, Brent did that. But essentially, it's a good strategy guy. It's the first iteration of the governance model, and it's going to put the power in the hands of the people that are those decentralized systems administrators to vote what goes on to the infrastructure, and two, what they participate in. So I think that is huge. It is.
Well, you mean kind of like what we're doing now with KDA? Like the decentralized system admins have the choice, right? If they want to run a KDA node and earn rewards for doing it, they can choose to do that. Do you foresee maybe in the future some type of like a competing setup? Where there's different offer.
100%.
Yeah, is that the idea? Like.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we want, and not only you take it a step further, Goose. It's not only what's been preloaded, because that's KDA was a partnership with Zel Technologies and developed that out to provide them a solution for a problem. You're going to take that even a step further, where that governance model will allow people to pick the projects that they had to.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so rather than the Zel team itself making this partnership, now what you're saying is with the ZDAO, right, the Decentralized Autonomous Organization, that's going to be a method or a process of giving the system admins choice over what's running on the network. So they can basically look at the fundamentals of a project and say, well, looks like this is going to go somewhere. Let's let this go on Flux.
Think of it. Yeah, put it in perspective of Bitcoin and the miners that process transactions on the Bitcoin network. You pay more, you get a quicker transaction, right? And essentially, if you have a high priority, a decentralized project, you're going to pay more to those miners, incentivize them to run your infrastructure, and those particular individuals can pick exactly what it is that stands up on the network. So I don't have it pulled up in front of me. I believe it's 4 votes for a BAMF. Let me see if I can grab it.
I think I've seen this. I can probably. It's 10 votes for a BAMF because of the amount of Zel that needs to be staked.
Yes, you're right.
And it's 2.5 votes, I believe, for a super, 1 vote for a basic, and then they're also giving 1 vote for people who are staking Zel, so they can have ZelCore Plus, right? That's another feature that we added. So maybe we can kind of segue into that, right? Because this is about getting everybody involved here. It's not just
That's right.
these isolated system admins. Now we're talking about like your average person who just happens to have enough Zel for ZelCore Plus. They also can vote. So
yeah, there's gonna be a day, Goose, where you're not gonna be able to have a BAMF. It would be financially all but impossible. Large corporations may take a stake in that or whatever. But we want to make sure that we keep people involved, and by that staking model, that passive staking model, allowing them to be part of the governance process, that's huge. The common little guy gets to participate in the big network. You know what I mean? So it's like we took that into consideration very early on, staking as a service. And we'll segue into ZelCore here in a bit. I want to give a couple things that we're going to do in the new year with Flux that I think were really exciting. I think, but anyway, it brings people in, the common guys. They can participate and they don't feel left out. I mean, you look at some of the old projects, say the Dash master nodes or whatever. If you didn't have the Dash, you were out. Those master nodes were worth, I want to say, $250,000 or more at one point.
I remember that. Yeah. Yeah. It was insane. I looked at that at one point and I said, well, I mean, I think that's also one of the driving forces that people got into other masternode coins, right? Because they said, I can't get into Dash, so I might as well jump into all the other forks of Dash. And now we've got this whole rash of, Dash forks. Now, while we use the Dash code in the Zel node setup, we have heavily modified that in terms of security, as also the privacy aspect. We have Flux messaging going on behind the scenes on the blockchain. There's all kinds of stuff that's going on there that is well beyond even what's already happening with the with Dash and some of the other coins. So that's cool too. But to get back to what you were saying about staking as a service, there's over 165,000 active ZelCore users right now.
It's actually that number is actually antiquated. It's well over that. We've in the past several weeks I'll have to get the numbers exactly, but I think it's well over that now.
Okay.
The adoption has really, I mean, the focus on Bitcoin and the fact that we had a kind of a competitor platform on ZelCore close up shop, and we ended up picking up a lot of their end users. I think as these projects continue to mature, they're either going to live and they're going to be viable projects and they're going to solve a problem, or they're going to not, and we're going to be there. And that's kind of what happened. So, but I want to finish one thing, because I think you brought it up, and I just want to give a couple real quick, because people are always going to ask us, what are we doing with Flux in the next year and Zel? Zel's going to look different. Okay, Flux is going to look different. We are going to aggressively change our marketing strategy, because I think that we have the product to bring to the table now. I think we have, partners that are utilizing the platform. We have a story. We've created a story, a narrative, and the narrative can be explained to the common folk. They can understand what is the difference between a decentralized node and a centralized node. These are things that we couldn't explain that a year ago, because it didn't exist for us. And now we have the narrative, they have the story to tell them. And I think you'll see Zel change. I think you'll see Flux continue to iterate. The goal is to get to at least, governance 2.0 next year. I think the 1.0 can be fairly well, we can roll that out pretty quickly. And I think you're going to see a lot of these. You've mentioned it earlier. We've seen these businesses start to pop up that are actually building on the infrastructure. I have two that I'm working with right now that are literally building their company, their platforms on that Flux infrastructure. They on the Zel ecosystem. So I think it just continues to get ramp up from there. I think you're going to see the basic nodes change. That's one of the big things, is because we instituted the KDA nodes and some of the other infrastructure on our heavy hitters. So our BAMFs got added. The supers were kind of the go-to, and those poor guys on the basics, they didn't get anything. That I think changes next year as well, and I think you'll see the basics become storage-based nodes. and I think the benchmarks that will be required for those nodes will change, and I think the reward structure could possibly change. So
That's cool.
don't give up. Don't give up on your basics. Your basics are going to end up being a breadwinner too. I mean, they're going to have as much power, if not more power, in terms of storage space. You look at Filecoin and some of the things that they've done. I think we can not necessarily compete, but maybe augment some of what they're doing. So I can't get any deeper than that. But you can think of maybe allocating that storage space to other projects that want to continue to keep growing. So don't give up on your basics, guys.
Yeah, that's a good point. Don't give up
on your basics. Yeah.
Storage is really key for the blockchain space because, as everybody knows, chains that have been around for a long time, and I had recently done some migration myself of my Zel full node, and I saw that the blockchain is well over 5 gigs, almost 6 gigabytes right now. And obviously, people who run Bitcoin nodes, they know that they're tens of gigs. I don't know what it's up to right now, 60, 70 gigabytes. It's a massive file.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
So this is the kind of thing. Now, Bitcoin's been around over 10 years. And that's what you can expect with a project that has a lot of transaction volume, which Zel and Flux together will generate. The more projects that are running on the network, the more messaging is going on. So all of that is going to lend itself to a larger blockchain size. But not only that, it's the regular application data that databases of users, transactions, whatever. It could be any kind of application, by the way, right? I mean, you don't have to run financial applications on Flux. You could. We saw today-ish, one of our lead dev, he was playing asteroids on there. Like you could run all kinds of stuff. Super Mario Brothers, yeah.
Yeah. One of our big supporters, I would say, you could call him a whale, whatever you want to call him, bad English T. He came up with an idea to create the first decentralized Minecraft server. So,
cool, yeah.
You're gonna see it. It's neat, and it creates a different dynamic. But those use cases, those are absolutely paramount. I mean, you have to be able to show that your network can handle it. It helps us with scaling. We've got our asses kicked this year at times. We know. When you're moving fast and you're iterating, you're going to break some stuff. Yeah. So I want to take this moment at the end of this year and the beginning of the new year to thank all the community for their participation in the network. Whether you are a node owner or you are a miner, because we love our miners too, we love our node owners, and whether you're staking for a service or you have ZelCore Plus or whatever the scenario is, you're appreciated. And I don't think there's a lot of communities out there like ours because they are, historically, we weeded out a lot of individuals who were those FOMO people at the beginning of the project. They left, they were like, oh yeah, price is down, we're out of here. And what you were left with were these real diehard, these cypherpunks, these people that want to experience a different level of decentralization, and they stayed. And I'm so glad they stayed. And next year is going to be exciting for the entire project, but it's going to be especially exciting for Flux.
Nice. I'm so glad to hear you say that because I know, even though I've been heavily involved with the team, I'm also a node op, and I've been there for the ups and downs of those different challenges that we all face. But nevertheless, there is always a deep sense of appreciation coming from the Zel team. And I think one of the great ways in which that was expressed was with the recent D2FA offering. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that. Like, what was the impetus for giving away Zel so that you can use D2FA, and then also like the giveaway that's been going along every day this week. So we're getting close to picking the winners and all that. So this is an exciting time.
Today is just populating those winners, and we're going to announce them probably tomorrow, I would think, is on New Year's Day. We'll see what happens. But we're excited for it. And Goose, we want to give back to the community. And we want to make sure that we're giving them the gift of security. It doesn't seem like a lot of Zel And if somebody opens up their wallet and they're saying, what do I get this little bit of Zel for? That little bit of Zel is going to give you an additional layer of decentralized protection in D2FA that you wouldn't have had, and the team, the foundation looked at that and said, how can we just distribute this to every single person and every single wallet and every single user across the board? And that's kind of what we came out with. And I think you'll see that continue. And as we continue to add more and more and more and more end users in ZelCore, you'll see, we can talk about ZelCore in a second, but the long story short is that is a means of distribution. We're looking at different ways to give back. We did it with Veriblock. We did a Veriblock distribution for people that, downloaded the wallet or even just opened their wallet up and they got some Veriblock. And it kind of turned them on to look at pop mining, what pop mining was. So I think you're going to see that continue to develop. I think you can see kind of a framework that we've created. We've created this delivery framework. And people always get pissed off when I say this, but I compare us to Amazon year 2. They had a framework. They knew they could have a delivery model because they could put things in it and deliver it. Now they have to have that adoption. So, are we Amazon? We're not Amazon, but we're Amazon year 2. And I'm excited for that because that framework is in place and we've proven it time and time and time again that we can do these things. We can, whether it's on Flux, we can stand up, decentralized applications, or whether it's in ZelCore where we can distribute, distros to people for participation in the project. So yeah, real excited about that.
Nice. Well, that's cool. And every day this week, there's a person who has changed or created a new D2FA pin that will be added to that drawing.
Yes.
So we're looking forward to that announcement on New Year. What a great way to start the new year. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there. This has been kind of a challenging year for a lot of people, but we're looking forward to the next year, with, I won't say eyes wide open, but just hopeful that we're going to see a lot more good in the future than we will, obviously challenge. But nevertheless, you said that you're going to be taking a much more aggressive approach to the project, including the development. So what challenges do you see? Even though that's hopeful, what challenges do you see coming forward, into the new year with those kind of with that idea in mind that you're going to go after this more aggressively?
Well, I think you're going to see some separation of Flux and ZelCore. They're always going to be symbiotic, but I think that if you concentrate on this as an entire ecosystem, I think you're missing out on an opportunity to really showcase one particular item over another particular item. So I think what you'll see is in marketing and PR, you'll have two individual plans created for those different platforms. One of them is going to be highly community oriented as well, and that'll be the Zel and the Flux process. And one of them is going to be more from a business centric, and that's going to be the ZelCore platform. I think you could see, when I say aggressive, I mean aggressive. It's go time. We are, for all these years, Dan said, just keep hodling, keep pushing it in, and eventually we're going to hit the go button. And with this recent bull run, this recent engagement, this resurgence of the disruptors, Bitcoin at 30,000, Goose. Holy shit, it's insane. Now is the time to put those products up so that people can see, because they're going to be looking for. I mean, I can tell you, I did and speaking specifically from ZelCore now, we'll put the Flux back here. ZelCore, we do this comparison sheet of all the platforms, these decentralized self-custody platforms, and we check the boxes. We go down through and we say, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? ZelCore is light years ahead of where we are, but that can close quickly. So when I say aggressively, we need to capitalize on the fact that we are above the competitors. And I'll say it right now, there isn't a platform in the space that can compete with us today. We are the best. And the reason I say that It's because I've done the research, I've done the studying, I know exactly what is out there. There are other platforms that do particular items well, but they don't do what we do, and that's the uniqueness is what's going to be the draw from not only the crypto space, the blockchain space, but the tech space. Start looking at it in a bigger picture. So yeah, that's where I come from when I make the term aggressive.
I think with ZelCore especially, there are a lot of what you say is true. All of the things that ZelCore can do. The funny thing about it is that people may take that for granted.
Oh, absolutely.
There's so many different features. It's not just a cryptocurrency wallet, right? It's a news aggregator. It's a technical analysis tool. It allows you to quick swap. It allows you to actually link your exchange account there so that you can trade inside a trading view, technical analysis chart within ZelCore. There's all kinds of things that are there. You can monitor your Zel nodes. You can monitor Firo nodes. You can do all kinds of. You can even buy crypto with fiat in ZelCore. Yeah. I mean,
hey man, it continues to grow, Goose. And if you don't believe that the game plan is sound, Coinbase just released their institutional branch, which is essentially everything that you just said is us. The difference between what Coinbase is doing and what ZelCore is doing is we're decentralized by nature, and we have the infrastructure to back it up. From a regulatory standpoint, and we can talk about regulations in as well, regulatory compliance, keeping it in a decentralized manner, making sure that you hold your keys, your crypto, right?
Yeah.
You can't say with Coinbase, you can't say that they can do that.
No.
And their institutional model that they've created. And I'm not taking shots at Coinbase. What I'm saying, and I'm stating the obvious. They are not your keys, and you are not the custodian of your wealth. They are. Yeah. So if you're comfortable with that, that's fine. But history would tell you otherwise. And I'm not saying Coinbase would be hacked or anything else, but damn, man. I mean, how many times does it have to happen? How many times does it have to happen till people?
This is the thing, though. I mean, now you start talking. This is something that a newcomer to crypto, which we know we're going to see a lot of because of the price of Bitcoin right now. There's going to be an influx. Like you said, we've already received a bunch of people who came because another project folded. Well, the more you see that, the more confidence you should have in yourself as the arbiter of truth. You know what I mean? As in, you have yes. your keys, you have access of all of your crypto, and it's all through a very simple, easy to use setup, which is a username and password, and D2FA, which were given to you as an opportunity to use anyway. So you have all these features free to secure your own wealth, your own finances. And the other beauty of it is if you do want to trade, right? If the whole reason you're getting into crypto is to trade or whatever, by all means do that. And you can do it with major exchanges all within ZelCore while holding on to your keys. I think that's...
I'm going to take it a step further, Goose. Remember we talked about DeFi, and I said there are projects in DeFi that are developing. Yeah. You're going to see one in ZelCore, and you're going to see it, and you'll never want a centralized exchange again. And I'm going to tell you that.
Sign me up, man. Sign me up. I don't want.
I think. Well, I mean, really, when you look at it, what is ZelCore lacking that the biggest players in the space have, and that is a exchange that is running perhaps on their infrastructure, but maybe it's not us. Maybe it's somebody else that's running that, and we're tandem helping them with their infrastructure.
Oh, okay. So wait a minute. Now this goes back in time, man, because
you don't have to look forward.
I'm just saying the early project notes, because I've been following this for a little while here. There was something called Zel Exchange. Are you? I'm not trying to tease this out of you, but
I think what it is, Goose, is we've matured far enough along to realize that we can't be the creators and maintainers of everything that we have in our arsenal and our quiver. So we have to look to people who are doing it and doing it correctly and effectively. And I'll tell you here, we'll be one of the first platforms to integrate the KDA exchange, and I think that changes the face of DeFi. So those guys and what they're doing over there, we are going to capitalize on that wholly, and I think ZelCore will if we're not the first, we will be I think we will be the first, but if we're not the first, I'm sure they'll have a platform themselves, but we're going to be right there, and I think that's exciting to me.
Dude, that's like mic drop right there. Now, I knew there was something to the whole KDA partnership, but so KDA Swap, what, in ZelCore? That kind of a thing?
Yeah, man.
Oh,
that's
wow.
how I see it. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of heavy lifting between here and there, Goose, and because they're iterating their technology as well. But if you take a look, there is a reason and a rhyme to the things that we're doing. We're aligning ourselves with people that are logically creating technology that works effectively. And if I was Coinbase or some of the big players, I'd be shitting my pants right now. And I'm not saying that with hubris. I'm saying that as you guys better get your stuff together. Think about self-sovereign IDs. Think about traveling AML KYC. Think about the ability to have even an institutional grade self-custody. We got those things. So, I would honestly, Binance became huge in the course of 6 months. It went from CZ and a couple guys creating Binance, and you couldn't even get an account. It was that popular.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to witness in this next push. You think you've seen something? You haven't seen shit yet. We're getting ready to fire up, and I am excited about it. And I think that, this community, these volunteers, these developers, these hodlers, these miners, man, I will be very happy the day that we continue to keep developing this out, and they're all participatory in that project.
I'll tell you what, when I see people talk about the price of Zel going to $1, I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't know if you guys are really, I don't know if you know what's really happening here. I think a dollar may be very conservative.
I think it's the ebbs and flows, and we went through a lot of change last year. We restructured our management. We semi-soft rebrand. We went through all these changes, and people watched them, and they question them sometimes, but they're not necessarily thinking big picture. We're thinking big picture, and you're going to see some really exciting shit coming out of ZelCore. You're going to see, as I just kind of stated, you're going to see some that self-sovereign ID and Zel ID and how important that is. And if you want to talk about regulation and what Coinbase announced, they were concerned with the regulation of self-custody wallets. It wasn't self-custody wallets; it was exchanges. Self-custody wallets isn't the issue. I'm going to hold my own wallet. Whether the government tells me I can or not, I'm going to do it. It's the centralized pinch point model that's going to be the challenge. So, I am really excited to see where we go with ZelCore and that non-custodial alignment with institutions. And I think you could see a lot of that. I think you could see the end users continue to keep developing out this gateway to blockchain. See projects coming into ZelCore. You're already starting to see dApps being developed. You're already starting to see it used as almost an app store, dApp store.
Yeah, that would be cool to see too one day. If down the road there's like a Zap store or a Flux app store or something like this where you go and you look at these are all the apps that are running on Flux right now, and I want to use this one, and play Pac-Man, like or Minecraft, it'd be really cool.
Yeah, and I'll tell you now, announce it now. We'll have the top 100 all in ZelCore within quarter one, quarter two. We're getting ready to drop about 23 or 24 new assets within either the next update or the update after that. And we're going to start looking at specialty projects. So you might see one of your favorite coins in there that are micro cap, but not necessarily. They're good projects. So we're going to continue to add those as well. And you start to see wrapped assets. It's gonna happen. I think that you have to be able to participate on these networks. The KDA swap model is great because if you have a wrapped ETH model, you can participate in the ecosystem. And I think, whether we're wrapping in KDA or wrapping in ETH or what that scenario looks like, I think that is huge. Tokenization of assets, both virtual and physical. So I think you're going to see, I can't dig too deep, Goose, but I can tell you this: a physical asset can be tokenized, and if it can be tokenized, and you can see it in ZelCore, it's going to be there. And what do they call them? NTFs, Nifties, whatever the hell they are. You'll see that as well. I'm hoping for that. We're going to update the roadmap, and I don't know, maybe quarter three of next year or something like that. But if you can. If it's blockchain, ZelCore is going to be where it's at, and that's our niche. That's what separates us. We are not beholden to anyone other than ourselves. So, in other words, a lot of these platforms are aligned with an exchange. So, if you see Binance and you see Trust, if you see Coinbase, that's their Coinbase platform. They are aligned to particular entities. So, we don't care about that. We're going to grab the best of the best, and we're going to do it.
Nice. That's great. Yeah, because ultimately that's probably going to be what people want, right? They're going to want to see, hey, they get really hooked onto, this type of DeFi swapping platforms, and then here along comes this KDA Swap idea. So that's going to be totally decentralized. It's going to be, next gen. Cool. Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. So looks like 2021 is really poised to bring a ton of development, as did 2020. But this, now that the infrastructure is built, seems it's going to be more geared towards things that you can use directly, either within ZelCore or on Flux.
Yep. Yeah, and I think you've seen that with like one of our competitors closing up shop and them migrating. All but within it, there was a short 7-day window. They literally gave individuals of one project 7 days to get their assets off the platform, which is total BS if you ask me. But so we got together as a team and said, can we do it? Yeah, we can do it, and we're going to make it happen. And they migrated 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 users that were already over there. They migrated in the course of a week. So we've got to scale, and that's a big deal. So
for sure.
Yeah. I'm pumped. 2021 is well, you can't go 2020 is what the hell? Everything's up from there, but
that's true.
I'm really excited.
I mean, the funny thing is that in spite of it all, and maybe this was, sort of a silver lining of all of the lockdowns and everything, it just enabled a lot more development, more availability, time that could be spent on certain things, certain aspects of the project. So we saw it move even further ahead, and that puts us in a much better position for 2021. So,
well, we had that.
Cool.
We were basement dwellers, and before it was cool. So what it did was it really put us in a position where we had extra time on our hands to develop. And this year has been fruitful. And, I'm excited to keep seeing it growing. We're going to be adding more devs. We're going to be adding, the marketing campaign with, there's going to be financial backing behind the marketing campaign, which is great. So we can get some headway there. And I think we start competing with the big players in the space. I think we really go after that.
It's time, man. And we're ready. I'm with you.
It is.
So
time to go.
We did this really nice giveaway, but all today is essentially the last day. of that. So let's say we have somebody new who's finally, getting their feet wet and learning more about the Zel project. Is there anything for them besides maybe the free Zel that they get for using the wallet, or the Veriblock coins that they get for using ZelCore? Is there any other way that people can get some Zel right now, even after this giveaway?
Well, we allocated resources in this year to do engagements. So if you come into the Zel Discord, you'll see we have a new a bot that you can do tip bots, and there's constantly. I even had to mute it myself because it was going crazy. Constantly engagements in there. I had to go in. I go in and check it, a couple times a day, but you literally could live in there if you wanted to. We're giving away a Zel to make sure that you get your D2FA turned on. We partner with Veriblock. We're about done with that giveaway, but we have one that's going to come on the tail of that as well. So exposure is something we want to do, and we expose these different communities to this common platform. Veriblock has been in ZelCore for a very long time. And I'd say most people didn't know it. And by giving away some Veriblock, now all of a sudden they see it. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden they're researching and they're interested in the project. So the marketing focus in next year is going to be, it's exciting.
Cool.
And I'm looking forward to it.
So if you want a little Zel, just start up a new account. And you get your little bit of Zel to create a D2FA. If you want, come to the Discord server. Links are on the website, zel.network. And you can get signed up for the tip bot and maybe earn a little bit of Zel there. Probably the most important thing would be in the future, of course, if I don't know if this is going to be on the table or not, but some type of encouragement for people to spread the word about Zel, right? Because we need the word of mouth, and that's the big thing. Spread it. Let your friends know. Tell your parents. Tell your sister, your brother. Get everybody using ZelCore because this is the future. Crypto is here to stay. It's not like a fad.
Yeah, and I'll throw out there too. We have an incentive program that we created. If you go into the Discord and you say "Get Zel," it's the channel. It says Earn Zel or Get Zel or whatever it is. The incentive program is for people to go out and do content creation. So whether it's videos, whether it's a Medium article, whether it's a well-crafted tweet, or maybe on Reddit or something of that nature, you can make some Zel doing it. And if you don't believe that it works, Vitalik wrote for a magazine, the Bitcoin magazine, and was paid in Bitcoin very early on, and he accumulated his Bitcoin, and the rest is history. So, you mine with your mind, you think about it. Not everybody has access to an electrical grid that they could mine, or not everybody could have a delayed return on investment for mining equipment. Not everybody could come up with the capital to create, a Zel node, a BAMF, a super, a basic. But boy, I'll tell you what, I can go write a tweet and make 5 Zel or 10 Zel. Someday that's going to all come back to you. And if you don't believe it, Google that story. Look at what Vitalik did. And that is community participation. That is knowing you're in a project that's going to keep developing, and the rest is history. So,
yeah, well, and growing too, because as development goes, especially in the open source side of things, right? I mean, if you can develop on this, let's see what you got, kind of a thing, like there's room for more, right? It doesn't have to be, 2 or 3 guys. Like let's expand that, to like what you see with Ethereum, where you have hundreds of developers who are contributing to the project at different times. So that's certainly welcome.
I can tell you there's going to be a granting process. And I personally threw out to the first person who can give me a version of TikTok that runs on Flux, 100,000 Zel. So you give me a beta that actually is TikTok on Flux, you get 100,000 Zel, and that comes right from me, because I'm excited for that. I think that some of the challenges we've had around with the privacy aspect if you can get that stuff on Flux, if you can start to develop those platforms on that decentralized computational network, your privacy comes back to you, and that is huge. So yeah, build it, and you'll get some Zel, a lot of Zel.
Hey man, 100K Zel. That's not only a BAMF, but in the future, God willing, things snowball from here. That's going to be a nice little retirement fund,
Yeah.
Well, Dan, it's been awesome talking to you. Thanks so much for taking the time to, give us this deep insight into what's been going on with Zel and what we can look forward to in 2021. I mean, we really covered a lot of bases here. So I hope that the people find this informative and inspiring, because just a few things that you dropped there. I mean, not to mention KDA Swap again, but I think that is massive. They're already in test. They're testing it right now. You can go to testnet.
It's lightning fast.
That's the thing about their chain. It's because they run it on private, so
they know how to do it. They know how to do it. Yeah,
awesome.
I love it.
Yeah, so that's very promising. Awesome. Well, anything else that you want to add, or?
The only thing I want to add at the end, Goose, is I want to thank you for your dedication and what you've done for us. I want to thank each and every one of the members of the team. The volunteers, the people that we have on our team, that they have it. Man, it almost brings a tear to your eye. They are committed. They are, they give their free time to help develop their dedication, their almost cypherpunk like attitude of, we want to do something to give back to our children. It's amazing. So every single one of the guys on the team, I would love to go through them by name, but there's so many of them. So, I'm glad for that. And, just the community in general. And I thank them as well.
That's great. Well, you can certainly take a look at our website, zel.network/team, if you want to take a look at who is involved with the project. But that's not the full list there, of course. Our Discord shows a lot more. Our Twitter shows a lot more. And, of course, our whole mining community. There's a ton of people out there that are contributing to this project, and certainly has not gone unnoticed. And we do appreciate the fact that you acknowledge that. For everybody who's contributed, we want to see it succeed too, because we're invested in it and we believe in the project. We believe in where we're headed, and seeing things iterate the way they have, that gives us confidence. So I see no reason not to keep on pushing forward.
One of our team members, Brent, when I sign an email or I sign a message, he said to me, we worked with a particular group, and they sign their email onward and upward. So I'll give a big shout out to the Winklevoss guys, great guys, and what they've done for the space is amazing. So Dan's new sign off is "Come build the future with me," and I mean it with us. Come build the future with us, because that's what it is. It is the future. So, Goose, thanks again for having me on, man. I really do appreciate it.
My pleasure. Always good to talk to you, and I'll look forward to catching up with you again in the new year as we start to unroll the new governance process and all the cool things that we already discussed. So looking forward, man. It's going to be great.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Have a good one.
Peace.
Peace.